What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews. I got 3 picks which I've already put down, which I'm going to give to you guys today. Now, if that sounds interesting, let's go.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.
Before we jump into the picks, we've got to recap what I gave out to you guys yesterday. 2 and 2 on the last video, which is why I'm giving you guys 3 today. I'm either going to win or I'm going to lose. We're going 2 and 1 either way, I hope. Hopefully there's not a reverse sweep, but 2 and 2 on the picks that I gave out yesterday. Overall on VIP, gave out a lot more picks, 4 and 4. So still splitting hairs. Overall, though, VIP went 4.68 units in the positive. And despite the profitable day, the challenges so far in January pretty much remain the same. Regardless, happy to get some profit rolling into the next game. Let's talk about some of the losers, see what we learned. So Gershon Yabusele, over 18.5 points and rebounds. This line closes at 21.5. I got in real early, and doesn't matter because he didn't get close to it. Didn't see any touches on offense despite playing the 30 plus minutes. This was another popular play which crashes and burns. Always a bad bet when something this easy to find loses. So a lot of the time I'm assuming what a popular play is based on how difficult or easy it was for me to find that. That Yabusele one took me like 30 seconds to find. I'll call those out if you wanted to stay away from those popular plays. But yeah, unfortunate there. Derek White, another pick that I took, over 14.5 points. I was not happy with this one. And the reason being is I might have said it in the last video. I originally wanted to bet on Kristaps Porzingis. Looked at Kristaps Porzingis, and then out of curiosity, looked at some other players, and I was like, oh, Derek White. He's got an even better matchup. He's got even better form against his opponent. Let's go with Derek White today. So I wasn't happy about that. I bet on KP, cashed it out, put the money on Derek White, and he didn't get close to it. So he barely got any shots up. That was an awful read. The Celtics suck today. What can you do? Then Chris Middleton, over 7.5 rebounds and assists. We got hooked on this one. Played 23 minutes. That's what I expected off the bench. He closed out the game as well. He did shoot the ball a lot more than I anticipated, though. Bad read despite it getting so close. Then I also bet on Tyrese Halliburton, over 12.5 rebounds and assist. Hooked. He had one stat correction at halftime, but look, I can't argue with it. I bet on his rebounds and assists because I was scared that probably I'd hook on his assist line because I was at 8.5, and the number of times this man finishes on 8, I was like, let's go with the rebounds because those have been popping lately. You wouldn't believe it. 10 assists, but only 2 rebounds. The boards is what let us down today. I didn't hate the bet. Hallie's playing great. He played great in this one. I think he's someone worth betting on in the near future. He did cash 4 winners, though. Jalen Brunson, over 23.5 points. And this bet, honestly, went exactly the way I expected it to. I was really happy with how this read went. I pretty much said, based off the second half of the last game, OKC are going to shut down OG and Miles Bridges, Mikal Bridges, sorry, and Jalen Brunson was going to take a lot more shots, get some volume, get to the free throw line, and it pretty much happened. He scored in isolation. He cashed the over despite the blowout, and that's really how you want to win a bet. If it's blowout proof, it's money. Speaking about blowout proof, Nikola Vucevic, over 10.5 boards, first half cash, another great read despite the blowout. I think he had 13 rebounds. And then we took Paul George, over 26.5 points and assists. He covered both his points line and his assist line. He did see the volume that I wanted to see with Embiid out of the lineup. I got a little bit worried when he was in foul trouble in the first half, but PJ came home strong for us. And then I was brave enough to bet on Paolo Banchero, over 17.5 points. He played 27 minutes. He scored 34 points. That was a great read on the matchup and Orlando's desperate need for offense. So I absolutely love that look there for Banchero. And the value homes. That's really what the value homes. What am I talking about? I'm not selling homes. Value plays. That's what drove home the profit on this day because we hit a value play on Brunson, value play on Paul George, value play on Banchero, and then we also hit a Banchero Paul George double, which gave us a bit of profit. Here's a couple of screenshots that I sent out. 18 bets, 4.6 units profit. This is the value play on Brunson. I spoke about it. Over in his points, under in his assists because OG and Bridges weren't going to get buckets today. Paul George, over his points line, over his assist line. Paolo Banchero took him for over 25 plus points. I was $50 into 250. And then here was a doubles combo. Ran one with Paul George, Tyrese Halliburton, and Banchero. Halliburton didn't get that one right, but because of the doubles, we turned $75 into 412. That was pretty much our profit right there. If we didn't run the value play here and the combo, we pretty much would have broke even for the day. But look, that's very exclusive to VIP. If you do want to check it out, get an entry into the Dabble and Parlay Play giveaway. Sign up to either app using my codes below. Deposit $10. Send me an email with a screenshot of your account, and I'll get you straight in. If you sign up to both of those, get 2 entries into the draw, and you double your chances. Once we hit 50 referrals, I'll give away $100 to 3 different people. I think we only need about 6 or 7 more, so hopefully we can get this thing popping in the next video. Also, if these apps aren't available in your area, or if you're in another country and you want to try and let VIP, all you have to do, send me an email, let me know that you're not able to download those things, and we can see if we can work something out. So enough about that. Let's get into these 3 picks and my shallow deep dive. Let's just call it a dive. I've got a few leans in there as well, so let's go. So we're jumping into props madness. This is the best tool you're going to find if you like betting on NBA player props. Nobody does it better. Go ahead and check it out. 7-day free trial in the video description below, and you get 25% off if you use the code DAFT when you happen to sign up. So what are the 3 bets that I've got for you guys today? Well, the first one, we're going to head over to the Jazz versus the Suns, which is the second game on a 5-game slate. And in this game, I did consider many players in this one. I've got a few leans, which we'll go through later, but I'm rolling with Mason Plumlee in this one, and I'm taking him for over 7.5 rebounds today. He's cashed this in 13 out of 27 games this season, averaging 6.9 boards. So why the look? Why do we like Mason Plumlee? Well, part of the reason, Jusuf Nurkic, after he got ejected in that Mavs game, he pretty much hasn't seen many minutes. He's shunned from the rotation. Mason Plumlee's getting the start. It also coincides with Bradley Beal going to the bench, and this Phoenix Suns team does look a little bit better since that happened. They've won 2 out of the 3 games since these changes. Now, I like Mason Plumlee because now that he's starting, he's going to see a lot more minutes. He's going to see a lot more opportunities. So RotoWire has him projected to play 22 minutes in this game. Me being me, always wanting to be so selective, just trying to be as conservative as possible. I looked at games where he played at least 18 minutes. Now, when Mason Plumlee plays at least 18 minutes, he's over this line in 13 out of 17 games, averaging 9.2 rebounds. So the potential for him to get boards is absolutely crazy. What I also love about this look for Mason Plumlee is that he's already played the Utah Jazz twice. And in those games, 14 rebounds, 9 rebounds, 11.5 rebounds per game in the 2 matchups against the Jazz. He's also only averaging 18 minutes. This one game here, he played 10 minutes, his most recent one in December, played 10 minutes, and he had 9 rebounds in that game. So Mason Plumlee shown that he can produce in limited minutes against Utah. Hopefully gets more minutes than what he had seen more recently, and he can get more boards. If you think about it, Walker Kessler's not going to stray too far from the rim. I also like to think that the Jazz, they're missing 3 out of their top 4 scorers this season. So their offense should be a little bit stale. More opportunities on the board should be available for Mason Plumlee. And what I also like is similar types of players who rebounded very well. Bataze, Plumlee, Trace Jackson-Davis all rebounded very well against the Utah Jazz. And I'm looking for Mason Plumlee to do the same. The risk here is that it is an 11-point spread. If Phoenix happen to blow Utah out, then Mason Plumlee may not get the run. But at the same time, if that occurs, you would have to assume that the Utah Jazz offense is going to suck ass, and there should be a lot of rebound opportunities throughout the course of the game there for Mason Plumlee. So I do like he's over 7.5. You can pretty much get that line at every single book. Now, the question is, if it moves to 8.5, would you take it? I would, but only at plus money. If it's minus 110 at 8.5, I wouldn't entertain that. But if it's at plus money, then I think Mason Plumlee is still a good look. Now, my next pick is in the Toronto Raptors versus the Detroit Pistons game. A little bit sad that Beasley's lines aren't available at the moment, but that's a conversation for tomorrow. What am I looking at here? I'm looking at Emmanuel Quickley today. And for Emmanuel Quickley, I'm looking at an under. Don't bet enough unders. I read the comments. You guys want to see more unders because my overs aren't cashing. I get it. And we got an under today, lads. And I'm looking at Emmanuel Quickley under 9.5 rebounds and assists. Now, he's gone over 9.5 rebounds and assists in only 2 out of 8 games this season. He's averaging 8.9 rebounds and assists. The 2 games where he went over were against the Nets and against the Magic. And in those games, there was no RJ Barrett in both of these. High usage rate, high minutes here for Quickley as well. What I did to filter this out, I looked at games with RJ Barrett, with Scotty Barnes. He's played 3 of them. And in those 3 games, he's averaging 6.3 rebounds and assists. Doing the breakdown here. In this game, 3 rebound chances, 6 potentials. That's 9 in total. 7 rebound chances, 8 potentials. That's 15 against the Knicks. And then against the Cavs, he had 0 rebound chances, but 13 potential assists. with a line at 10 rebounds and assists, you'd probably need to get 18 to 20 potentials and rebound chances combined. He hasn't gotten close to that. What I also looked at was usage rates to see what the hell's going on here. And in these 3 games with Barrett and Barnes, we can see here the highest usage rate we've seen from Emmanuel Quickley is 25%. The other 2 games, he was less than 20%. Whereas Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett, they tend to toggle between 30 and 25%. So clearly they're getting the lion's share of possession, a lot of time with the ball. Emmanuel Quickley, not necessarily required to dime up on the offensive side. He does bring the ball up the court most of the time, but outside of that, he's letting that thing go. RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes have a bigger responsibility on the offensive side. He also has a really awful matchup here against the Detroit Pistons. Overall in the season, 8th fewest assists allowed, 4th fewest rebounds allowed. If you break it down by position, they allow the 3rd fewest rebounds and the fewest assists to point guards. So I think that matchup is difficult for Quickley to get these rebounds and assists. What I also like about this is if we look at Emmanuel Quickley as a scorer in this game, he's actually got a pretty good matchup here. The Detroit Pistons allow the 6th most points to pick and roll ball handlers, which is where Quickley scores 31% of his points. Similar types of players have gone over their points line against the Detroit Pistons, similar play types. So the way that I see it, Quickley's got a tough matchup to get dimes, tough matchup to get rebounds, hasn't been rebounding and getting those dimes very well with Barnes and Barrett in the lineup. And he's got a great matchup to score some points. I'm thinking he shoots the ball more than he passes it. So hopefully we see a high volume game here for Emmanuel Quickley where he shoots the ball, scores quite well, which means probably not going to see as many dimes and rebounds. That's my thinking anyway. So Emmanuel Quickley under 9.5 rebounds and assists. I was honestly toying, do I take his over 15.5 points or do I take his under? And today I'm taking the under, 9.5 rebounds and assists for Emmanuel Quickley. And then my last look, it's actually in the first game. It's the Rockets versus the Hawks. And in this game, I'm rolling with Jalen Green. Now, I will give you a heads up that this is most likely going to be a popular play on the day because of how easy it was to find. But I did dive pretty deep to see if there's any risks I need to worry about. And for the most part, I'm satisfied with what I'm looking at here. So Jalen Green, we're looking at over 22.5 points. He's hit this in only 9 out of 27 games this season, a 33% hit rate, averaging 20 points per game, which means the line's a lot higher than his season average, and it's very easy to see why. Looking at his recent form, he's gone over this in 4 consecutive games. If you want to know why he's gone over all those games, there's been some changes in their lineup. So Jabari Smith Jr. has been out for 4 games. Now, Jabari Smith Jr. does not play the same position as Jalen Green. Jalen Green's not getting more minutes because Jabari Smith Jr. is out. Amon Thompson is the one who's getting more minutes. But why is Jalen Green scoring more points? The reason there is you're trading some offense with Jabari Smith Jr. for a lot of defense with Amon Thompson. So Jalen Green playing the same amount of minutes that he normally does, he's just seeing more volume and more opportunities. So with the 4 games with Jabari Smith out, he's averaging 29 points per game. He's over this line in every single one. The one thing I want to call out here is that he's got a great matchup in all of these games. The Boston Celtics allow a ton of points to pick and roll ball handlers, which is Jalen Green's number one play type. He scores 32% of his points that way. So he had a great matchup against Boston. The Los Angeles Lakers, they've got bottom 5 defensive rating. They allow points from above the break. Not good at defense, and they allow a ton of points in transition. Then you got the Washington Wizards, who are bad at everything. They allow the 2nd most points above the break. They allow their mid-tier in terms of points to the pick and roll ball handler. They're just an awful defensive team. Then you have the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, the Memphis Grizzlies, they allow the 10th most points in the pick and roll. They allow the 5th most points above the break, and they allow points in transition. So another great matchup. So all 4 games that Jalen Green's played without Jabari Smith have been perfect for him. Now he's up against the Atlanta Hawks, and that's a perfect matchup too. So the Atlanta Hawks, they allow the most points above the break. That's where Jalen Green scores 40% of his points. They allow the 3rd most points to pick and roll ball handlers, which we know Jalen Green loves. They allow the 10th most points in transition. Like, it all makes sense here for Jalen Green. Now, when I looked at the numbers with and without Jabari Smith, I tried to see what we're seeing here. So without Jabari Smith, he's obviously averaging 29 points, but he's taking 22 shots per game. I looked at the games that he played with Jabari Smith, but only the games where he saw 30-plus minutes, so we can really compare something, because he's playing 30-plus minutes in all of these games. Now, with Jabari, when he plays 30-plus minutes, he's averaging 21 points per game, and he takes 18 shots. So we're seeing 4 extra shots and 8 extra points here for Jalen Green with and without Jabari Smith Jr. The matchup's fantastic. And another thing I like about this, the spread's only 5 points. Yeah, people are betting on Houston. This was 4.5 not too long ago. Houston deservedly so favorites in this one, but the game total's high too, 233. The books are expecting a lot of points here. Jalen Green has a fantastic matchup. He's got fantastic form. He should see a lot of volume in this game. I think the only thing that kills this bet is probably like an awful shooting performance from Jalen Green. I think that could kill this play. The other thing is the impact of Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels most likely defends Jalen Green. Dyson Daniels is a great defender, but at the same time, Dyson Daniels is a great defender, and this Hawks defense still sucks. They still allow the most points above the break. They still get torched by main pick and roll ball handlers. So we'll see how we go, but I do like Jalen Green, but I do think this will be a real popular one. Even if you just bet on hit rate, you probably end up finding this bet anyway. It's like he's averaging almost 30 points over his last 4 games. The line's only at 22, and he's versing the Hawks. Makes sense to bet the over, but I'm riding with it. I like Jalen Green and his over today. Pump on the brakes real quick to ask you to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm dropping bangers just like this every single day. Win or lose, I'm going to come on here. I'm going to face the music. I'm going to own up to the bets that suck. I'm not going to over celebrate the ones that win. It's going to be transparent, going to be genuine with you guys. Give you as much analysis and insights that I possibly can to hopefully help you out on this next set of games. Leave me a comment down below for the algorithm. The more comments you leave, the more this video gets pushed out to more people, and the more people get to see this. And that's how we grow the channel, right? So I appreciate all of you guys who do this. Now I'm going to take you through a list of leans that I have. And when I say a list of leans, I went through the slate today, took notes around a lot of different players that I was thinking about betting on. These were the 3 that I ended up landing on, but I think a lot of the other ones are good looks too. So I'll take you through that. And if it's something that you like, feel free to jump on it. If not, we all good. Sound interesting? Let's go. All right, whilst we're in this game, we might as well start. Rockets versus the Hawks. So one that I was looking at here was Trae Young, and I wanted to take him. He's under 11.5 assists. Obviously, he's up against the Houston Rockets. They allow the second fewest assists in the league. They allow the second fewest assists to point guards. So safe to say it's a difficult matchup, right? Now, looking at Trae Young and how he's performed in these difficult matchups, if we look at how he's performed against the teams at the top 10 teams in terms of fewest assists allowed, we can see here that he's only hit this line in 3 out of 8. He averages 10 assists per game. The games where he went over, Detroit, 8th fewest assists, the Spurs, 9th fewest assists, and the Clippers, 7th fewest assists. If you look at the real elite teams, if we're going the top 5, Trae's clearly under in all of them. Against OKC, Boston Celtics, Minnesota Timberwolves. Now he's up against Houston Rockets today. It's an awful matchup to get assists in, yet his line's still at 11.5. So I did consider taking that. The risk here is that Trae's an absolute freak, and most of the time his usage rate is sky high, but that's definitely one that I was looking at. You also get the benefit that there could be a blowout in this game, and if there's a blowout, Trae probably doesn't see as many minutes. And then you also factor in that there's no Jalen Johnson. Trae Young gets more assists for Jalen Johnson there. Doesn't have anyone to dunk the ball really in this team. So, yeah, Trae Young under in his assists. That's one that I considered. I also considered fading DeAndre Hunter and taking his under. He's gone under in 4 consecutive games now. He had that awful game against the Lakers. He was 1 from 12. I bet on him on that game. And then ever since that day, he hasn't been able to hit this line of 18.5 points. He's finding foul trouble or he's shooting poorly. Now he's up against the Houston Rockets, and it's a tough matchup here. So DeAndre Hunter scores in transition, scores from spot-up shooting, scores off handoff. They're the main types. Houston Rockets, very good at defending all of these play types. So, and this probably correlates to a Trae Young under. If Trae Young's not diming up, how's DeAndre Hunter going to score all of these points? So I did consider that. I might just parlay these 2 together and play it at a half a unit. I'm not too sure, but those are the 2 that I had in this one. Jumping into the next game, Utah Jazz versus the Suns. 2 other leans that I really had. The first one's Devin Booker, looking at his assists. Now, his line's at 7.5. He's hit the over in 5 consecutive games now. The last 3 games, he's had 10-plus assists. And that was what happened 3 games ago. That's when Bradley Beal went to the bench. And in those, since that time, he's had a ton of potential assists. He's still playing the same volume of minutes. Obviously just stacked his rotation as to who he's playing with. So Devin Booker, I do like it. I couldn't find enough reasons to bet on it apart from that, though. So he's up against the Jazz. They do allow the 5th most assists in the league. He did have 8 assists against the Jazz the last time they played. And what's interesting, he managed to get 8 assists, score 34 points, and take 27 shots the last time he played Utah. I don't imagine he takes that volume of shots in this one because 27 shots is a lot. And I think he may opt to dime up a little bit more. I'm not too sure. And that's why I didn't take the bet, but it makes a ton of sense here. The Jazz, look at this. Similar types of players have been killing the Jazz when it comes to assists as of late. I do like the over, but do I love it enough to throw a whole unit on it? I'm not too sure. Being transparent with you guys, I'm considering playing this at half a unit perhaps. I'm not sure how I'm going to go with this, but yeah, I think Devin Booker over in his assists is a really cool look. The other look I had was an under on Colin Sexton. And for Colin Sexton, I was looking at an under on his rebounds and assists today. Under 8.5 rebounds and assists. Obviously, the hit rate's good because his minutes are all over the joint. And what I wanted to do was look at the games without Collins, without Clarkson, without Keontae George, because all those guys are missing today. And it's been 4 games with all those guys out. Colin Sexton's under in 3 out of the 4. He had 1 game against the Portland Trailblazers where he had 1 rebound, but he had 11 assists. And if you've ever seen Colin Sexton play, he's not going to get 11 assists too often. Up against Phoenix today, he's not going to see I can't say that he's not going to. I just question whether he is going to see enough opportunity in rebounds and assists in order to cover this line. I feel like that 12 rebound and assist game against Portland's kind of lifted the average here. But against Orlando, Atlanta, which is a soft matchup, and then Miami, who's also a soft matchup when it comes to assists, like he was only able to get to 6 in total. So I just questioned how well he's going to be able to cover this 8.5. It makes a ton of sense, but we've got only a limited sample size of data without these 3 guys. You also factor in that they've got Collier playing point guard, who's been diming up like crazy. So I don't see Colin Sexton being the one to do that. You could just look at his assists alone. His line's at 5.5 assists. You could look at it under there, but at the same time, the rebounds and assists, it's a very similar hit rate, but he can get boards though. 4 rebounds in these games. So I figured rebounds and assists made a lot of sense, but so do the assists. We're looking at the same hit rate here. If you want to look at an under, you could look at those. Now jumping into the next one, Raptors versus the Pistons. The only one that I was strongly considering, Scotty Barnes' points and assists caught my attention for a moment in time. And then I realized I can't rely on Scotty Barnes. I looked at it and I was like, his matchup's not even that good. He'll probably get the usage rate. The Raptors keep getting blown out. I don't know if I could take an over for Scotty Barnes. But I'm not even joking here. In all seriousness, Malik Beasley has a good matchup in this game. Tim Hardaway is also a game time decision as well. So if Tim Hardaway's out, they already miss an Ivy. Beasley already gets a ton of minutes as it is. He's probably going to get even more. So I might bet on Beasley. This is not even a joke, but he's honestly somebody that I'm leaning towards, all feelings aside. Then we've got the Grizzlies versus the Timberwolves, and there's 2 that I looked at this one. Anthony Edwards wanted to back his 3-pointers made prop. 4 consecutive games, he's hit over 3.5. He's obviously shooting a ton of them. Up against the Grizzlies today, they allow the 4th most 3-pointers made. They allow the 5th most points above the break. The only reason I'm not betting on Anthony Edwards today is in that last game against Orlando, he made 4 out of his first 5 3-pointers or something like that. Then he went on to miss 6 consecutive 3-pointers to finish that game. So I'm a little bit worried about how that translates into this game against Memphis. That's my main hesitation. Also, he's hit this in 4 consecutive games. Like how many games could you possibly make 4 consecutive 4 3-pointers in consecutive fashion? So that's my hesitation of betting on Anthony Edwards, but I did consider that. The other one I was looking at was Ja Morant. And I was looking at Ja Morant points. You can get there's a lot of apps at 20.5. I was looking at this, but the only reason there was to bet on Ja Morant, whether it be points or PRAs, is purely on hit rate. And this is what I was thinking. This game's going to be close. It's a 1.5 point spread. Ja Morant should see close to his max minutes. The most minutes he's played in a game this year is 34. RotoWire projects him to play at least 29. And if he plays 29 plus minutes, he's actually hit this points, rebounds, and assists line in every single game. He averages 38.7 points, rebounds, and assists. Outside of that, I couldn't find a reason to bet it. Like, it's purely a hit rate play here if Ja Morant gets the minutes. His matchup to score points is somewhat difficult. His matchup to get assists is difficult. Matchup to get boards is difficult. But if you just look at Ja Morant, if he gets the most minutes that he normally plays, if he gets that higher end, there's a good chance that he cashes his points line and he cashes his points, rebounds, and assist line. But yeah, purely hit rate based on expected minutes played. Ja Morant is a great one, and it makes a ton of sense, right? It's a big game, should be close. Ja Morant, star player, should come up clutch. but there's no real analysis to it. So that's why I didn't bet on those two guys. But who knows? I could put a bet on just before the game time, just to have some skin in the game, you know. And then we've got the Miami Heat and the Blazers. And I never thought I would think this, but I actually have 5 leans in this game. There's 5 different bets that I considered, which is partly why I don't have any bets in this game. So I'll take you through the 5. I'd love it if you guys can let me know in the comment section which out of the 5 do you think is most likely to hit. But I'll take you through the 5 and then we'll see where we land. Maybe just through walking you guys through this, it could give me some confidence to take one of them. So the first one I was looking at was Anthony Simons. I was looking at his points and assists today, over 25.5. I was looking at games where Jeremy Grant is out because he's been out for quite some time. Now, Anthony Simons is over this line in 7 out of 8 games since Jeremy Grant got injured, averaging 31.5 points and assists. So the form is definitely there. Now, if we look at the matchup to score some points is somewhat difficult. Miami do limit points in the pick and roll quite well, although they are vulnerable to spot up shooters. If we look at scoring zones, the Miami Heat average in terms of how they defend the perimeter, which is where Anthony Simons lives. So the matchup is not too difficult when it comes to scoring points. When I looked at his assists specifically, it looks like a great one. Lines at 4.5, but this is juiced to the max. You're looking at -150 to -180, depending on the book that you look at. I do think he goes over his assist prop today because of Miami Heat. They do allow the 12th most assists to the this season. Part of the reason why they're so good at limiting points in the pick and roll is they force the point guards to pass, yada, yada, yada. So I was thinking if Anthony Simons is going to go over his assist line anyway, that means he has to score slightly less points. Now, Anthony Simons, if you think about it, he actually had a difficult matchup against Dallas. Dallas do limit points to the pick and roll just as good as Miami does. He still scored 22 points on Dallas. He took 22 shots. So there's volume that you need to account here. And if Anthony Simons maintains a high level of volume that he has been putting up since Jeremy Grant's been out, then there's a good chance that he cashes. There's a good chance he gets a lot of assists too. So that's why I was thinking points plus assists. I noted that down. I thought, all right, I might take that bet. And then I started looking a little bit further. Leaving the same filter on, we've got Toumani Camara. Now, these are his games without Jeremy Grant. He's over his 7 consecutive games with Jeremy Grant out of the lineup. 12.8 as an average. His line's at 9.5. Now, he's got a good matchup to score some points here against Miami. Camara scores 38% of his points from the spot up. Miami, 6th most points allowed to spot up shooters. So he's got a pretty decent matchups. His minutes, pretty reliable here. He should get at least 30 minutes in these games. In the 30 minutes, he's probably going to take between 8 to 12 shots. He's going to get some wide open looks here because that's how Miami plays defense. So the matchup's pretty decent. And if you think about his recent games, this blue line represents how well these teams defend spot-up shooters. Miami, one of the softest matchups that Camara has had since Jeremy Grant's been out injured. So I did lean to his over in points. Another person that I did look at, moving over to the Miami side, we're obviously looking at games without Jimmy Butler to see what's cooking here. And I was looking at Tyler Hero. And for Tyler Hero, I was looking at his rebounds and assists, and I was looking at the game specifically without Jimmy Butler. Now, he's averaging 11.4 rebounds and assists without Jimmy. He's covered this in 8 out of 14 games, but he's covered this in 5 out of his last 6 games. Looking at his matchup here against Portland, they allow the 9th most assists, the 9th most rebounds. They're a bottom 5 defensive rating. The spread in this game is 3.5, so Tyler Hero should get a ton of action, see a lot of opportunities. So that was one lean. I didn't mind that one either. And then I started looking at more Miami Heat players with using the same filters without Jimmy. Jaime Jaquez Jr. Look at his games without Jimmy Butler. I was just looking at his PRA, to be honest with you, because he can score, he can rebound, he can definitely get some assists. Now, line's at 23.5. In his last 3 games, been playing massive minutes, and he's been producing like crazy. 38, 24, and 34. Now he's up against Portland, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. has a great matchup here. Spot up. Shooting is his main play type. Portland, bottom 10. Scoring in transition. Portland allow the 2nd most points in transition. Getting to the free throw line. Portland, 5th most free throws allowed. Like all of the ways that Jaime Jaquez Jr. likes to score, he's got a great matchup here against Portland. They, like I said a bit earlier with the Tyler Hero thing, good matchup for rebounds and assists too. So then I was like, geez, I can't bet on this guy too. And then I already knew I was going to take a look at Jovic because I bet on him last time. Look at his numbers without Jimmy Butler. 5 consecutive games over 9.5 points. I think his line's at 10.5 now, but still, same story. 5 straight games, over 10.5 points. He's hit this line in 9 out of 13 games without Jimmy Butler, averaging 11.8 points per game, and his scoring profile is great. spot up shooting, scoring in transition, getting to the free throw line, right? Sounds like Jaime Jaquez Jr. So he's got a fantastic matchup to score some points here against Portland as well. And that's my dilemma. All of these guys, the data looks good. The matchup looks okay. It's based on their increased opportunity because of injuries. Surely the sports books haven't got everybody's lines wrong. Like, somebody's going to let you down. So if you can, help me out. Which one of these do you like the most? I'm obviously going to research them a little bit further to see which ones do I actually bet on. But I do think they're all good looks. I think they all make sense. But I'd love your help. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are. So that's all I got for you today, kings and queens. I wish you guys the best of luck. If you haven't, join that Parlay Play Dabble giveaway. Sign up to that. Send me an email. Free month of VIP plus $100 could be coming your way. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, help your boy out. So close to 24,000 subscribers. Let's go.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.